Good afternoon, this is Angela with Parkrose Permaculture. Taking a break for a second, thought I would sit down here next to my rain garden and talk with you all about what I've been working on today in the garden. I took apart my blue bottle wall and filled in with much more compost and put the bottles back, and that enabled me to add about 3 inches to the bed. Because what I had going on before was these bottles were way low. I added mulch to the path as well. And I was having trouble with erosion and mulch sliding into the path. So I needed to raise the border up higher and create more of a berm. And then I backfilled in with more compost and wood chips. And then I added a bunch more wood chips to the path. So that deepened this bed substantially. And that's a good problem to have when your bed has grown so much topsoil and has such a rich, thick layer of organic matter that it is sliding out of the bed and you have to add height to your bed. So now I have, if you saw my video a while ago on how I do raised beds, I like to set goals for myself and physical reminders of where I want to go in the garden. And I feel like perimeters of beds are a great way to set a physical reminder of how much soil I want to be building. Set myself a goal. So you can see down here, I have still about that much of a gap between the top of the bottles and where the top of the wood chips are. My hope is I can build this whole back side of the rain garden bed up quite a bit over time, adding more compost and more wood chips and building the height of the bed. Now, it doesn't look like much is going on in these beds right now because just about everything is still dormant or very new. I did plant some new poppies in this bed because my dog peed on mine and killed it. Poppies sometimes aren't really that long-lived anyway, but I moved my phacelia and moved some other things around and put a new poppy in. And hopefully Apollo won't kill it. Y'all have asked how I do permaculture gardening with 2 big dogs, and there is mixed success, but for me it's worth it to have 2 pets that I love that sometimes they kill things by peeing on them. So the other thing that I was just working on was planting my sweet peas out, and I wish I had filmed it and talked about it a little bit more. Sweet peas that were started in plugs and ready to put out now that they've got a good couple of inches on them. You can see here what they look like. And I put them out all over the garden. I have a couple places I always put sweet peas. And I have this spot here in the rain garden where I have my rhubarb, which I sort of divided into 2. So it's kind of like 2 rhubarbs. It's just waking up. This is Victoria, classic, most common variety of rhubarb grown in the Pacific Northwest. And obviously there is nothing much happening here, but all behind it and all down here, I don't want to plant anything because very quickly this rhubarb is just going to explode and fill this whole bed, and it will be coming out into the path and everything. So typically this area is very bare. But when you think about your garden scheme, your garden planting, it's good to think about succession. It's good to think about the staggering and how plants mature and in what direction they mature. So the reason that I put these sweet peas here is because they have a vertical growth habit. And this variety is an old heirloom variety. Honestly, right this second, I can't remember if I put Painted Lady or Mammoth Blue in here. But either way, both of them get quite tall. They'll get taller than this little trellis that I have and flop around. And by the time my rhubarb is growing out over this area, the sweet peas will already be up to here and be getting plenty of sun. And at the same time, sweet peas tend to not do well once their roots get really hot and the ground temperature gets really hot. So the rhubarb will, hopefully the plan is, shade the base of these sweet peas and keep the ground a little cooler and help them go for a little bit longer. I know the planning of stacking and staggering together vertical growers and horizontal growers has worked for me in the past. Right here, again, doesn't look like anything right now. This is my blue false indigo. It's one of my earliest videos I made. You can check back. I love blue false indigo. Nitrogen fixer, fantastic bumblebee food, great vertical height, great movement in the wind, long blooming. Pollinators just love it. Great plant. Not edible, unfortunately. But it is completely herbaceous and it is not emerging yet. It'll be emerging soon. But what I found is it also has a very upright growth habit and really fills a space vertically and then likes to lean over this way. And it does very well with this rhubarb extending all the way out to here and basically shading the base of it and keeping it a little bit cooler so that this hot, sunny, dry area at the top of my rain garden doesn't get as dehydrated because that rhubarb really shades it. So that is my hope here with the planting of these sweet peas, that they will work as well as my blue false indigo is worked, so that I am harnessing, I know I talk about it a lot in permaculture, let's harness the power of the plants that we have and use them for our benefit. That's essentially what good permaculture design is, learning how we can use the assets that plants already have, the strengths that the plants already have to our best benefit. So here I'm getting a good connection between the plants where rhubarb, which when it flowers is great food for beneficial parasitoid wasps and small solitary bees, also produces a food crop for me, and also shades this hot part of the garden. And at the same time, I'm partnering it with a beautiful flowering plant because my rhubarb may only flower once, so the visual impact is not as much. So beautiful flowering sweet peas that bring tons of visual interest to the garden, great fragrance right out my back door. But also, if you didn't know and you think maybe this cottage garden plant is a little bit of an indulgence, sweet peas are wonderful, wonderful bumblebee food. They have a great shape that bumblebees really get into and open up easily and love to feed on. So I'm hoping then these two will use this very small space efficiently together and benefit each other by working together to make the most use of a small space, harnessing the growth habit of the plants as they are for my benefit, my enjoyment, the plants' benefit, and the enjoyment and use of wildlife. And come back later and show you how this garden is looking later in the season, because it is just chock full of beautiful flowering plants and medicinal plants, mostly pollinator plants. The point of this rain garden for me is to provide food for my bees and for native bees. So I'll be checking back with you all to show you an update as the season goes on, let you know how this worked out. Hope you all are doing well in your garden. Thanks for watching this short update. I have a long video coming out very soon about permaculture and invasive species. So I hope you will tune back in to watch that. Enjoy the rest of your day.